Hello guys and girls, it's Cisco again. Just doing a quick show and tell on my Sage 1 carbon fiber. One of my favorite knives. The Sage 1 and Sage 2 really in my mind are two of the best everyday carry knives made. Not that there aren't better knives, but for an everyday carry knife, one that you're going to be slicing cardboard, maybe doing a little bit of food cutting or opening a package, you know, if it came down to it, thwarting an attacker, you know, whatever you got to do with your knife. There's millions of uses of a knife. I use mine many times a day, at least 20 a day, on various things. Like I said in another video, I work in a kitchen now, so I'm always opening boxes, opening packages of food. You know, obviously I don't use it as a kitchen knife, but there's always tasks that I need a knife for. I need to cut up cardboard for various things to certain sizes, and this excels at that. Probably the best knife I've ever used on cardboard. And the next two closest are right here, just below the view of the camera, and that's my Mini Deja Vu, which is also very good on cardboard, and my Sage 2, all-time favorite knife. But for some reason, you know, the blade on both of these knives is exactly the same. Granted, for some reason my Sage 2 has a little more belly in it. If you look, and this is how it came, the blade through here actually comes back up a little bit. So essentially the blade is all belly through here, whereas my Sage 1 actually comes straight back into the choil. I'm not sure why that is, but that's the only variance as far as this profile. But as I said in my Sage 2 video, the profile of this blade, while the spine is the same thickness, it tapers a little more quickly here. So I have a thinner edge leading into my profile here, into my secondary edge. And because of that, this thing just slices through paper and cardboard. Even once it starts to dull a little bit, it just flies through those kinds of materials. It's just an amazing slicer. The grip is wonderful on this knife. Really, the ergos and choking up on this knife actually beat out the Sage 2, I believe. Because of the frame lock stepping in, I think that holding it back in this grip makes the Sage 2 actually a little more comfortable, just because this one's wider here. But choking up, this knife is just amazing. And the grip of this carbon fiber, I'm sure most of you have seen other videos on this knife. But as you can see there's actually a 3D texture to the weave of the carbon fiber. It has no type of epoxy over the top of it, which a lot of carbon fiber does. It's just an open weave, and that makes for excellent grip. It's still smooth enough that with the pocket clip it doesn't tear your pocket up, you know, and to where it feels nice. It's warm to the touch. You know, is very rugged, very strong material. I've dropped this thing across the floor countless times and cringed. I thought for sure this thing was going to be dinged up. You know, and that's something with the Sage 2 that you kind of have to be careful with the anodization on it. You know, it can scratch. I don't know if they'll probably won't pick up on camera. I don't have the greatest camera, but there we go. You can see right there I have one little nick there and a couple just light scratches in the anodization. This here, it has gone flying across the floor at work. You know, I can hear it scraping across the dirt, hitting metal and everything, and there's not a nick or scratch or any type of blemish in these carbon fiber scales, which is just amazing in my mind. You know, it makes really the perfect, you know, between this and titanium, really the perfect knife scale. And maybe it beats out the titanium, you know. If you could only make it with carbon fiber and not have to use a stainless steel insert, if it wasn't too brittle for that, it would be amazing. But to get back to the knife, anyways, this is a great knife. I did speak in my Sage 2 video about how, in order to get this loose enough to where it really came out easily, that I actually had the pivot a little loosened, and then when I Loctited it, I actually couldn't get the pivot as tight as I wanted because of the Loctite. I actually sort of remedied that the other day, or yesterday, and now it is a little better. The knife still comes out really well. A little slower, or I should say it takes slightly more effort. Still very little. Just barely a little more than my Sage 2. My Deja Vu, I really tightened up big time. I was actually able to crank down just a little more on it. It still opens pretty easily. It doesn't flick open. I'm sure you can probably hear the resistance, but just because I was a little worried where I live about some of the laws and where that blade just dropped out so easily. But Sage 1, I'm sorry, I actually got it so that there is absolutely no blade wiggle. I'm trying for all I can, and I cannot get that blade to move back and forth. The whole knife will move before the blade will. It just has no play at all. And while it is a little stiffer right now than my Sage 2, it still is very workable, and still is just a pleasure to open and close. My Sage 2, I did have tight right from the beginning. I don't know if maybe that has aided in it breaking in so tight and yet still so smooth. I'm thinking maybe some people, and me included in some of my knives, tend to, right from the get-go, have that blade be loose enough to where they can flick it, and I think it breaks in that way, where it has a little bit of play, and maybe breaks in with the washers wearing a little unevenly the bushings. Not really sure, but I just know that with this knife, where I had it really tight from the beginning, that now this thing is amazingly smooth. It feels so smooth. I can't imagine it being any better as far as that, and yet it's still absolutely rock solid. I mean, the tightest knife that I have. So there's a lot of merits to this knife. Amazing slicer, amazing grip, amazing ergonomics, great deep pocket clip. If I wasn't on the wrong side of the camera right now, I'd show you how it fit in my pocket. Maybe another time I'll do a comparison of some of my knives and how they do fit in the pocket. But these, you know, you would think that much would be sticking out, but because of the way that your pocket is shaped, going along with this is actually all hidden too, as far as in my pockets. Really, all that sticks out is barely that. I mean, this thing just disappears in your pocket. The way that clip is, you know, I carry a knife every day. I'm not real worried about people knowing that I have a knife. I always do. Most people know that. You know, it's something I need for work, and it's just something that I always have on me. But this, you know, it could be a pen, it could be anything as far as someone's concerned. It doesn't stick out at, you know, and exclaim knife, knife, knife to everyone. You know, it could be anything in there. So it's really not going to alarm anyone. I think that's a definite benefit to this knife, because there's always people who are going to look at you funny when you pull your knife out. You know, they think that you have it for the wrong reasons, or that, you know, nobody needs to have a knife on them all the time. And, you know, they're the same people who, in a pinch, when they need to, you know, need help, or they're stuck in their car as they're, you know, going underwater, or after a crash, you know, and someone comes and they have to cut them out, you know, or you know, various things. There's hundreds of situations where a knife could save a life, you know, never mind a defensive type of, or, you know, to try to discourage an attacker. You know, there's just so many uses for a knife. And, you know, while this is not a tactical blade, I don't know that I really have any tactical blades, because that's not what I have. Maybe my Benchmade full-size Griptilian, you know, would probably be the first one I'd grab, or my Tenacious, for that reason. But at the same time, I mean, these knives are so sharp and so solid and so well made, they certainly could be used in that regard. But very simple construction on these knives. 3 screws, You know, two beautiful standoffs. Those hourglass shaped standoffs, very, very robust stop pin in my opinion. The liner lock, you know, isn't the thickest. You know, and it kind of surprised me when the knife came, but I've tried everything to get that lock to fail. It locks up perfectly in the center, and I just can't do it. I can't get it to fail. I've tried spine wax. I mean, I've tried everything I possibly can, and it will not even budge. So I have perfect faith in that liner lock. Besides that, we all know about the spider hole. Best way of deploying a knife, I believe. And no matter how many companies use it, I'm still always going to consider it the spider hole, because they're the ones who came up with the idea, as far as I know. Pretty much that's it with this knife. Trying to keep this one a little shorter, so have a couple others. Maybe I'll do, like I said, my full-size Griptilian, as well as a big beast of a knife that I have. I'll grab right now. Probably not going to fit in frame, but this here I may do some chopping tests on. If it wasn't for that M-Tech, this thing would look just like a cold steel Trailmaster. And I bought it because I wanted to get either the Trailmaster Recon Scout, and came across this. I actually was headed to a knife store to look for one. Turned out that when I got there they didn't have one anyways, but on my way I stopped at another store that wasn't even a knife store, and they happened to have this. I was telling them what I was looking to get. They had just some M-Tech folders and a couple of little cold steel skinning knives and stuff, and I told them what it was that I wanted, and they said, well, here, check this out, and pulled this thing out. It's a full 1/4 inch thick, so it's almost as thick as the Trailmaster, 9-inch blade. It is a 440 C, I believe, steel, or 440A, I'm not really sure which of the two, but it's held in edge really good. I went and chopped all kinds of wood yesterday with it and split, and was chopping into hardwood and everything, and it really just barely lost any edge at all. And being 440, obviously I'm not going to have to worry about the rust as much. So I bought it just to kind of test out and see if I would want the Trailmaster, but for now I think I may just stick with this as my camping knife. It's definitely worked out. So maybe I'll do some cutting and splitting demonstrations too with this. I've looked and I haven't been able to find any videos at all on YouTube showing this knife itself. So just for that reason I may put one on. But I'm going to end here. Thanks for your views. I appreciate it. You know, I hope that I can be a help to some people who are trying to look into these knives, just like some of the others have been a help to me. So thank you very much.